All right. Welcome to Frame Rate, the show where we rate frames. I'm Michael Swaim, here as always with
Abe Epperson.
And excited to welcome our very special guest, Mr.
Daniel O'Brien. I thought you were going to say my name, but you didn't.
Call me by your name.
Okay. It almost seemed like you were singing, because I said say my name, and that's a song that you could have sung.
Say my name,
Yeah.
say my name.
Instead, you sang a different movie.
Let's start over. Welcome to Frame Rate, the show. Okay. Well, it's good to have you, Daniel.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
I'll become sharper as we continue.
I can't make that guarantee for myself.
Good. Great.
I love podcasts so much.
It's so
and you guys
easy.
are friends, so this is great.
The most fun thing to do that gives you imposter syndrome really hard when you listen to your episodes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you're like,
You're on like
everyone's
19.
fine with this.
You're on like 19 podcasts right now. Is that?
We have 6 going.
6
Yeah,
going.
Yeah,
Okay.
you exaggerated
Yeah.
for humorous
Sure.
effect, which I appreciate.
I had this crazy effect of I forget which one it is now, which again shows me to be forgetful as the story goes
Well, you
on.
forget what podcast
But
you're
no,
on?
I was listening to one of our old podcasts and I was like, what podcasts have we done? And has the format changed? Because I'm not taking count of anything. And I listened to it and I was like, I said that?
Yeah.
Sounds smart.
I'm very interested in your relationship to podcasts, Abe, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Because you don't listen to podcasts.
No, I don't.
You did not listen to them before
I rarely do.
You co-launched a podcast empire.
Still don't.
Just like you've never seen a film. Is that correct? Yeah.
There's cliff notes for film.
Well, you're just like your superpowers. You're the best BSer of all time. You've done this entire series. You're like,
Yeah.
Magnolia. Yeah.
Mars Attacks, Tim Burton. Yep. In my head, I go, nailed it.
Exactly. So we are talking about Mars Attacks right now, ostensibly. Let me scroll to the top of my notes here. Warner Brothers, 1996.
The second best alien film of 1996.
Okay, so obviously you have a setup.
Really, guys?
Is it Independence Day?
Yes. Yes.
Do you really, really like Independence Day a lot?
Well, I mean, it won all the awards for things, and it's a lot
For
more
effects
memorable.
things.
This isn't bad. It's just the more memorable alien film of 1996. That's all.
I think that's true for most people. I remember Mars Attacks more vividly.
Really?
I
All
re-
right. Well,
yeah.
We're already gonna get here.
I think that summer I watched both of those movies many, many times over and over again. So I don't want my babies to fight. I think they're both perfect. There's not a single thing wrong with
baby.
either Independence Day or Mars
I can't
Attacks.
say anything against any operation that employs Brent Spiner. I'm like, I guess you guys know what you're doing.
By the end of this, I'm gonna Sophie's Choice you.
Oh no, between those two and Sophie's Choice. Marry, fuck, kill. Sophie's Choice. No. So I personally actually think along the lines of like Big Fish or something, Mars Attacks is super underrated because it's this rare break in, and I think it's the fault of that artistic director that he always works with, but it's a Tim Burton movie that doesn't look like a Tim Burton movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Henry Selick?
I know who Henry Selick is, and I don't think that's right.
Colleen Atwood?
Crack did an article about this. There's an art director that always works with Tim Burton in the same way where you assume Wes Anderson is personally choosing this look. He is in a way. He's responsible for it, but it's because he always works with this person who has this look that he likes.
Yeah.
So Tim Burton, I just think it's important to note, is not personally like painting black and white long stripes on everything and being like, this Beetlejuice looks like this. But he has a buddy whose art style is like that, who he always works with. And he notably didn't on Mars Attacks because it's an adaptation of, and this is so long before we were adapting Twitter feeds and shit, Topps baseball cards.
Yeah.
Like baseball cards that
Yep.
came with chewing gum.
Kids were just like into these cars that were pictures of Martians looking scary and big-headed, and they were like, "Oh, I can't get enough of these fucking cards."
Yeah.
I just
It's
want
the
to
same
go.
company that made the Garbage Pail Kids, which was like, hey, here's a picture of a kid puking. 45 cents, please.
Yeah, they have some good, because it was 1996. I did this research as well. 1962. They had terrible titles. Like the titles were like Death in the Cockpit, or The Burning of a Dog, or Burning Cattle, or
No,
Burning
Destroying
Flesh.
a Dog.
Destroying a
That's
dog.
so good. It's a card of a
And-
Martian just lighting a dog on fire.
Yeah, you can search 1962 Topps Martians on Google, and you can see these. Like there was 55 of them, and 20 of them were taken off of the like actual printers because mothers and fathers of children who were reading them
horrifying.
were like, no, can't
Yeah.
expose them to this. And also the aliens look identical. Like it is
Yeah.
literally the same aliens from Mars.
Oh yeah,
Attacks.
it's definitely a direct adaptation of these stupid bubblegum playing cards, which is amazing because it's like Riverdale or something where you're like, that was weirdly dark and kind of good
Yeah.
for being based on Jughead and shit. I do want to note on IMDb at least, it says that the writer William Goldman, who also wrote Princess Bride.
No, Maverick.
Oh
That's
no!
William Maverick.
This
I'm
is,
dispensing
that's William
Maverick
Maverick,
factoids.
yes.
This is Jonathan Gem.
Thank you,
Jonathan
Jonathan Gem.
Gems. Yeah.
And a ghost co-write from Burton, who I guess didn't want to be credited. But the point I'm driving at is Jonathan Gems, I guess, didn't even know that there was an existing story, like that they released a pamphlet that says this is the Mars Attacks story, until after the script was written. And I want to read the synopsis on the back of the Mars Attacks card.
I'm saying yes. Abe is shaking his head.
I don't believe him. I don't believe him.
Planning to conquer the Earth, Mars sends flying saucers through space carrying deadly weapons. Burning cities, the Martians destroy much of Earth's population. The enemy then enlarges insects to over 500 times their normal size and releases them on the helpless planet. People hide, knowing that death is the consequence if they are discovered by the creatures. Despite its losses, Earth somehow launches a counterattack that shatters the Martians and destroys their home planet Mars. And it's
Oh, wow.
crazy how close that is to the actual movie.
What I love about this movie is how
No insects, though.
the aliens themselves are so into the idea of like unique deaths. Like they orchestrate all these random things and they take glee from it. Like my favorite one that's completely unnecessary is just to build up the time of like suspense when they invade the retirement home and grandma's there. And they like wheel in this massive death ray just for her.
A team of 3 Martians are like, this is going to be fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
We never get to do it when they're sitting still. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and it's just I love how they
Because up to
also
that point they've indiscriminately swept their zappers over like fields of people.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to efficiently exterminate everyone, but they're like, somehow, let's get this comically sized mortar that we've only seen now.
and I love
set
how
up in
even
room.
the guns are different. Like there's green guns, there's red guns, there's the little miniature zapper that that
The cricket.
Rod Steiger. That's it.
Yeah.
Rod
Did you read
Steiger-
the trivia that said that they decided on red and green literally because an executive
Christmas?
fucking
Yeah.
hate executives who's like, it's coming out near Christmas. Couldn't it be red and green skeletons? Fucking so stupid.
I have a shelf life of like 9 weeks, so let me just put my stamp on something, please.
I'm gonna go walk in a room and tell him how it's the most Christmassy film of all time.
Yeah.
You pointed out that it didn't look like a Tim Burton movie, which I agree with, and I think it's cool. It also doesn't sound like a Tim Burton movie to me. It's still Danny Elfman, and he's definitely doing his creepy Danny Elfman stuff. But because so much of this takes place in Washington, D.C., and specifically in the White House and in Congress, he plays around with patriotic music, which you don't really get to hear him flex on different stuff. He always does that kind of otherworldly Tim Burton thing. So when I'm hearing him
Which he
do
still
like...
has for the alien scenes,
Yes.
obviously. Yeah.
When I hear him like trotting out some patriotic government stuff, I'm like, Danny Elfman, yeah.
Yeah.
You're quite good.
In a way, it does still feel kind of reminiscent of Men in Black.
Yeah.
Because Elfman did that score as well.
Do you mean like,
but Men in
like
Black is
future reminiscent?
well, I mean, it's sci-fi. It's got the woo.
Just
you know.
Abe in the theater thinking, what is this movie going to make me think about in
Yeah.
the future?
Is that not how you movies? No. But yeah, like it's very restrained, like you're saying, Dan. I want to.
I love the score. I made
Me
a
too.
note
The
of that.
score is amazing.
Boingo,
I want to
Boingo. Listen to Oingo Boingo.
even though we have said that it's the least Burton-esque or one of the least Burton-esque looking films.
Right, but it's not.
He's still gotta.
non-Burton-esque,
Yeah, still gotta. He's still like the way in which the tongue, as Sarah, what's her name, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes.
Says it's like coming out like a tongue. It like unfurls.
Natalie. is
Yeah,
her name.
or
Natalie.
Nathalie.
And there's so many fucking characters.
Yeah.
It's hard to, because I'm like, Natalie Portman is not Natalie. Natalie is
Sarah
Sarah
Jessica Parker
Jessica
is
Parker.
Natalie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That definitely is a very Burton flair. The tongue of the,
The
spaceship
unfurling.
unfurling is very, very
Like-
much like, this is how I think weird things can move.
Yeah, in
I'm
a
Tim
way,
Burton.
I think that it is Tim Burton
It
because
is.
that's probably how his dick
It
is.
is.
Yeah, like
on
unfurled.
I guess. The
The-
Beetlejuice arms are the same thing.
The
just trying to show.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
We ramped that move. That
Whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
That was a weird trivia thing researching this, is apparently this is like a reunion for him and Danny Elfman because they had such disagreement on Nightmare Before Christmas that then they didn't work together on the movie in between those two.
Oh, really?
And I can't believe that. Because fucking Nightmare Before Christmas is just like one of the biggest feathers in both of their caps.
Right, and it's great, and like I will go to my grave saying that is Elfman's fucking movie. That is a Danny Elfman movie more than it is a Tim Burton movie. Also, Burton didn't direct that. He gets a lot of misattributed credit for that because it's Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. But there was another writer, another director, and I just feel like you could see so much of Elfman's fingerprints. We're all fans of Danny Elfman, very specifically.
Yeah. I was gonna say you made me realize a real deep cut that I would like be remiss if I didn't mention is. So that was part of a 3-picture deal. That was Henry Selick, right?
Henry
Yes.
Selick, who
Yeah.
didn't work on this one because of James and the Giant Peach.
Right, but he's a master of advanced stop motion, and he made a 3-picture deal, and he did 2 movies that the studio agreed to, and the deal was the third movie would be whatever the fuck he wanted, and the first 2 were James and the Giant Peach, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Does anyone know the third movie that Henry Selick ruined his career for?
Gosh.
Monkey Bone.
Monkey Bone.
I forgot about. I always forget about Monkey Bone.
A Brendan Fraser movie I love, based on the art of Mark Ryden, a fucking top tier surrealist painter.
And now I feel like you want us to put some air here so you can drop in your Monkey Bone sound effects that I know you guys have.
Yeah, no.
Let's go to the Monkey Bone soundboard.
But so yeah, Henry Selick definitely deserves shout outs. But this was Mars Attacks was not. There was no stop motion, right? Burton wanted stop motion originally and had to resort to CG ultimately.
I think the
What I
CG
read.
holds up.
It holds up fairly well. I really like the UFOs.
Yeah.
They're like this nice brushed steel look that feels very concrete.
Yeah,
and real.
like the chrome rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what is, again, same speech by Sarah Jessica Parker, says it's reflecting the Nevada sun like some kind of hubcap.
Pahrump, Nevada.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the writing in this film? I think that there's a lot of memorable moments, but like Danny DeVito's character could just not exist.
Danny DeVito makes me laugh so fucking hard in this movie because as well as I remember this movie, I completely forgot about him. And he is, this is going to sound insulting, but it's not. He is a very big presence. Him as a person, everybody knows who he is at this point. And you're watching this insane movie with aliens and Jack Nicholson's 2 people for no clear reason. Yeah. And Tom Jones just showed up, and you're right. And I'm like, that's probably the weirdest. Tom Jones is in the movie now. Tom Jones is hanging out with Jim Brown, and he's just part of the movie. He's the pilot. Okay, that's the craziest part. And then Danny DeVito's like, "Oh, Tom Jones is not unusual." Hey, like,
and immediately gets killed.
Immediately gets killed.
There were several. What was the other arc that I was like, why'd this whole arc even exist at all? There are people whose rise and fall is totally insulated within their own world, and you're like, why were they in this? I forgot Jack Black, man. I did
Jack
not
Black,
remember he's in this.
Yeah.
As the lunkhead soldier who got up, his big moment is when the Martians start attacking. He says, "Eat shit, you alien shitheads." And then he realizes he doesn't know how to use a gun and says, "Oh shit, I surrender," and gets
then they kill him.
melted. Yeah.
I love how Lucas leaves. That's his name, right?
Lucas, yeah.
Lucas. Oh no,
That's his real.
that's his
life
real name, Lucas Haas.
Yeah.
Richie Norris is
Richie,
his-
that's right.
Richie, yeah.
Richie, who's like
The
the guy
teen
who's
young
like
male
the international
protagonist.
symbol of the donut.
Yeah.
I love how he just bails, like, I'm gonna go get grandma. They're like, don't you, you're the wrong son died.
Right.
You know? And then he's just like, anyway, bye. And then they immediately die.
It's one of my favorite scenes. It's stretched across 2 scenes. Them in that trailer talking to Richie, and then we cut to something else, and then we're back in the trailer, and Richie's like, "I'm gonna go get grandma," and they're like, "Fuck grandma." The entire time they're just loading the same 2 shotguns.
exactly.
It's Joe Don Baker and the woman who plays his wife just sitting there like, "They're not gonna get us." Load cock shotgun. I swear. Hey Richie, get back here. Cock shotgun.
Meanwhile, the Martians are watching their neighbors fuck in the adjoining trailer.
Their neighbor, by the way, for absolutely no reason, Christina Applegate.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Okay, this is what's star
Not
power.
even a cameo.
No.
One of the jokes that I'm like, this is too far now, was the Martians are watching Christina Applegate fuck a dude in a trailer, and they breathe hard so their helmets fog up, and I'm like, good alien joke, that's fine. Let's stop. Let's move on to the next scene. Then goddamn windshield wipers come out to wipe
I
the
love
fog
that shit.
from their
I love that
helmets.
shit because it means they're so prepared for any contingency.
So that's what I think the question the movie begs, and I think why. Well, first of all, I want to say I think it does feel this way, like we're talking about the arcs, and it is true that they wrote, like, apparently there were Tim Burton wanted a total of 60 principal characters, and it was cut down to 23. So and the obvious premise is just like, let's have Mars attack and jump anywhere we want, like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
We can cut, and they do this. It can cut to just one punchline that Richie says, and then cut across the world to continue with the action or whatever. And I think it is cool, but it also makes it feel like none of this matters at all. And it did flop, and I guess I can see why, because the other big question it raises, that if you take it as a satire, you realize doesn't fucking matter, but it's never winked to or lampshaded. And if you're like trying to follow the story, it is frustrating. And I have to ask you guys, why do the Martians hate us? What are they doing?
Unclear.
What's their
And
fucking problem?
I think they're just monsters. I think they just want to
dicks?
wipe us. They're assholes. And they want to wipe us out. I have a fondness for this movie, but I definitely remember not loving it when I first saw it because it's 1996 and I'm 10, and satire wasn't like a thing that I was really capable of understanding.
Right.
And I'm watching it, getting really mad when they just killed Jack Nicholson. They just killed the president.
Right.
Yeah.
He gave a speech that's supposed to change their mind. What's going on?
why can't we
No
get
one is
along?
getting proven right. Everyone just has new ideas and then gets killed. They dropped a chandelier on Glenn Close?
Yeah.
Why did she do this movie?
Why did the Martian cry then?
Right.
You know, because
For
it's like,
me, I
how
was
can we
like,
get along?
as a kid that age with like Back to the Future under my belt, I was like, how can Michael J. Fox be dead? Something will happen. He'll come back, right?
Yeah.
That way, like, as the movie unfolds and you realize they don't just sacrifice 70% of their all-star cast. They sacrifice them quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it's-
Only 7 of the 23 live.
Tom
at the
Jones
end.
lives.
Tom Jones lives. I don't think
Tom Jones not only
amongst
lives,
the animals.
but he gains the ability to reach out and have a hawk land on his
that's
arm.
the best moment. I'm going to say that a lot probably, but
Yeah.
the best moment of the film when
is the best.
The big three, Tom Jones, Sidney, the Egyptian casino worker,
Yeah, that's right.
and
Jim Brown is still
Annette
alive.
Bening-
Oh,
Annette
no,
Bening-
but he's not with them.
the big three leave there. She puts her hand out and a dove lands on it. Tom Jones starts feeding reindeer and the
squirrels.
other woman walks out holding a ferret, and it's such a small we don't even focus on her. She's just like smiling and holding a ferret, which isn't even like a cute woodland animal thing.
But here's my other favorite thing, because we do get a performance of It's Not Unusual, which is interrupted by the earlier in the
And then
film.
he goes,
and
Jesus Christ!
it's at the end of the film. It's what plays over the initial song and credits. But my favorite is you don't see him. It's the best moment in history to me, which is that Tom Jones, after he's done all the things that you basically just set up, he looks down at one of the reindeer and he just goes, huh! And then it cuts to black, and then it's not unusual.
like he's starting
Like
a
he's
stage
gonna,
show
but they didn't show it
in the
but
woods.
he
Yeah, exactly.
So impressive.
There is
that-
a scene after that, though. Jim Brown being surprisingly
Oh, yeah.
alive and getting home to his family, which is like the heart scene.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, good.
It's surprising to me that they got so many people, so many very famous people, to commit to this really stupid idea for a movie. Like no one even got it in their contract. Everyone was in on the joke, and they played it so well. Even like Pierce Brosnan, who I think is underrated comedy icon. Pierce Brosnan,
Yeah. Kind of
very
John
funny in
Hamish.
this. Yeah, and none of the deaths are heroic and noble. No, not a single one of them is like, he died so others could live. They almost had that with Jim Brown, but they were like, no, we don't want there to be heroes in this story.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
a bunch of people who get killed by aliens, and it doesn't matter, and death is the reward.
Nothing
Life
matters,
is meaningless.
yeah.
Which is, it made me compare it in my head to Arrival, which is not fitting, but it's like, because there's this implication that the whole thing might have been because the translation device doesn't work, or there's no ability to translate.
Right.
And like they obviously are scared of birds because
They shoot it twice.
there's a detail, so more than twice I noticed actually, because whenever they see the presidential seal in the White House, because it has a bird on it, they destroy it immediately.
Oh yeah.
They hate birds.
Dude, they hate flying things.
I don't know why. Yeah, but they're scared. So there's like this weird logic. I gotta say, my favorite moment, or the thing that made me laugh the most, is in Congress when he does, because what I think it's mimicking a scene where you're doing a speech and you throw away the speech because you want to speak from the heart.
Right.
Because he pulls out, you've seen earlier, the most Tim Burton thing in the movie, I think, that they communicate, at least in written form, via ticker tapes that come out of robot mouths.
Yeah.
And he pulls out a roll of that and like starts reading from it.
And then he throws it. Yeah.
Which another tidbit I loved was in the script they didn't decide how the aliens would talk, so they just wrote ack 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 ack,
like a bunch of fucking
and then they
Cathys.
stuck with it because that's what they do.
chocolate.
I never got tired of the entire time. They like every sound the Martians made, and every time they moved, it's just funny. They did such a good job making like.
Yeah.
Do you know who?
So
do
he
you know
tosses the
who
speech
did
aside.
the voice? By the way,
No. Brad Bird.
Frank Welker.
Really?
That's weird.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Anyway,
movie's
vaporizes
perfect.
Congress.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah. He just pulls out the weapon and shoots everybody.
Well, that's what I think is so not understandable about, and that's why as a kid, this movie was lumped together in my head with 2001, because that was the other movie where my dad was like, "This is an important movie," and I could tell that it was good.
Arrival, Mars Attacks, 2001. No difference.
But by the end, as I left, I was just like, all that did was piss me off because I'm
Yeah.
too young to understand what any of the implied answers are, and I don't like not understanding what the
Yeah.
fuck is going on.
I ended up liking it more as I got a little bit older and got a closer understanding to what satire meant, and also started thinking I would maneuver myself vaguely in some kind of storytelling related business. That it was
Right.
like, you can just throw out the rules sometimes. Like Jack Nicholson can die in the middle of this movie. I didn't know that.
Twice.
Yeah, he died twice, and it's never. There's not even a wink where one of them was like, "Oh no, my asshole brother, the president is on the phone."
No, they have
It's
two
not
different
explained.
last names.
They're different guys.
President James Dale and Art Land. Two different guys.
That was the arc that I realized is Art Land. His arc is, I don't care if Martians are coming. I ain't worried. I'm building this hotel. The Martians are here. I don't care. I'm building my hotel. The Martians killed me. Like,
Right.
why is he in the movie?
It's yet again like this is an opportunity to show some kind of point. You're allowed to say like
Yeah.
this like filthy schemer, he got it right. He's the one who's going to survive in the end. He's
Right.
like, yeah, people are going to need hotels once the Martians get here, and I'm going to pick them up with limos and champagne on ice, and like I'm going to be rewarded for this. No, you died with some Sikhs, some random investors that you got to go to Vegas.
Man, I also really laughed when they're showing, the Martians are starting to kill people. And it cuts to Jack Nicholson as Art Land looking at the monitor of the news and the Martians starting to kill people. And it's just a long zoom in on him. And then he goes, whoa.
Yeah.
And it cuts to a different place, hundreds of miles away.
Minutes. But by the way, I don't even know why. I think it's for the same reasons that you're elucidating it. Like, it's satire in some cases that is very like kind of salient. In other cases, just random pulling of things.
Yeah.
I wonder if because they're very aware of because they land in Pahrump, Nevada, which is the home of R.I.P. radio talk show host Art Bell.
Okay.
So I wonder if that name was Art Land, Art Bell. I mean, they're not the same.
Probably.
Because he was well known.
Especially because I'm sure they're not
obviously,
beholden to the trading cards. Like, this is all from John Jim or whoever.
I just think it's just really weird, though. Like, it's talking about his paranoia of that kind of thing, and they choose kind of to put his name into it, and they also mention Pahrump.
And it's a love letter to this genre of film,
Yeah.
I think, in this era of film where the aliens were just inconceivable monsters. Did you guys, am I wrong? Do they fart out of glands on the sides of their heads?
I don't know
aliens.
what those
Little
glands
tendrils?
do.
Do you know what I'm okay.
Yeah.
There's one scene where it sounds like he's farting and the glands like shake. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's because when they get excited,
Yeah.
they fart out of
because
his
he's looking at a Playboy.
suck my
Yeah.
jack on.
So he's like,
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to talk.
Oh yeah, they're for some reason they find human physiology interesting.
Yeah,
They're freaks.
That's one of the.
Well, I like Pierce Brosnan. He looks so ugly. We must remember, my dear, humans look equally gross to him.
Pierce Brosnan with a pipe, entire movie.
He
until gets
trusts
his
the
head off.
aliens
I love it.
implicitly 1,000%.
in Congress, he just runs up. Why are you doing this? This is illogical.
I did want to talk about. There's like two main things that I wanted to
Uh-huh.
bring to discussion, and one of them was, are we saying anything with the alien-strange relationship to sexuality? Because they do. The doctors do note that it's strange that they don't have any genitals of any kind. That's very confusing to them.
Right.
So we know these aren't like rape monsters or anything like that. But they're so horny throughout the whole movie. And I don't know what we're supposed to do about that.
They remind me of like if Minions were evil or the trolls from Ernest Scares Stupid.
Right.
They're just like little assholes. God, I love the Martians. I really like.
Yeah.
I want to start collecting these cards now.
Well, there's a moment, because they're obviously interested in the
well, the
sexuality.
king is looking at a Playboy and then looks at Natalie.
Yeah,
and
the
is-
ambassador.
and it's like,
I'm gonna do,
ooh.
yeah. And but it is true that one of the cards, it was one of the ones that like took down. It's
A
called,
choice prize.
I don't know. I thought it was like literally called like the rape of a young woman.
Oh,
or
boy.
something. Yeah, it's
There's
like,
one
pretty-
I saw
and it's
called
like
the choice
them ripping
prize
off her
where they're
clothes.
pulling sexy women
yeah,
up to the UFO.
it's pretty. It's pretty no good.
Yeah.
And I think that probably in their mind, like so in 1962 brain, they probably were having sex with us or something. But because this is supposed to be like a PG-13 deal, they were just like, let's answer that by just making them have
Yeah.
no genitals.
They're
Which
they're
better.
just perverts. They're
Yeah.
just mean perverts.
Yeah, just-
They get no joy out of it, but they're just like, we know this bothers you.
Well, when they kill
Right.
everyone, but then they very surgically, it seems like, take a severed hand, a dead bird, a chihuahua, one woman, and her purse. I like to imagine that was the whole mission. Like that's why they came to Earth. They needed those
They're like,
6
yes,
objects.
yes.
But and also when they take Natalie's head in a jar and take it over to her body with the chihuahua's head grafted on
show
top
it.
of
They
it.
show her.
They look at her like,
Yes.
right? Do you like this? And I'm just constantly like, what is their deal? Like, do you see what we did?
I think
What do you
the-
think?
I think
Is this
the-
better?
I think the best moment for understanding exactly why there's just absolute chaos because when we get attacked after the Dove incident,
Uh-huh.
and we're like, let's send them back a thing and just say that we're sorry if we offended you, or or Jack Nicholson's speech, which is then printed on one of those ticker tape
Things,
tongues,
yeah.
and then. He reads the
One of the
right hand
Martians
man
reads
reads
it,
it, and then he's like thinks for a bit, and you're like, oh, I wonder if this might actually go this way, and then he hands it to the ambassador, and the ambassador reads it, and they both go,
Yeah.
and then it's just like, okay, so clearly they just are in their mind, they're just saying like these fucking idiots.
That's what I love is that's their recurring tactic. Like as they're killing everyone running through the streets, they blast a thing that says, "Do not run. We
I
are
love
your
that.
friends. We come in peace." Like they think we're that dumb.
Yeah.
That will just always work.
While we're shooting.
I felt like it had to be some kind of like reverse Doctor Strangelove homage because they maneuver the president into this war room that looks very reminiscent of Strangelove. And then it's the exact opposite. We're like, no matter what, the president's like, we will not have a war. And you're like, this would be the time
Yeah.
when you should launch the nukes, which of course
Right.
it turns out don't matter because they can inhale nukes, I
Yeah,
guess.
and then make
Yeah.
helium and do fun bits with them. I fucking love the Martians.
They also have in preparation for I guess just this moment. The ambassador has a hand that turns into its own sentient
Yeah.
crawly bit that stabs you and then
becomes the
becomes
Martian
the
flag.
Martian flag.
Martian
which is
flag, very reminiscent of
Illuminati,
the Illuminati
yeah.
pyramid. Yeah.
also true. I thought of that.
I don't know what the
I
fuck
was
that.
like, what is that?
I mean, maybe they helped build the pyramids, something like. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for the writers'
Definitely
room.
not.
Because it seems like, I think Mars Attacks is a much better World War Z, where you're like, this thing's happening.
Holy.
We could do anything we want, just jump around. And I actually thought they found a lot of good, fun shit to do. Yeah.
They kept it moving. They killed off superfluous characters whenever they wanted.
Right.
And they're like, look, they also have giant robots now. Are you concerned with how they fit the giant robot in the saucer? Don't be. Look at how big that robot is.
I made a note of that. How could that robot fit in that goddamn saucer? Yeah. I also, my other favorite moment is the over-the-top hippie who, when the aliens say, we come in peace, the guy in the purple tunic who goes, oh man, they came in peace. He releases the dove that they eventually shoot.
I want the cutting room floor scene where the aliens don't say they come in peace. He's like, oh no, and snaps the bird's neck. Drops it.
I love the follow-up, though, of when we go to Congress and it's just a shot, like a dollying to the left shot of all the military. There's tanks, you know, and then it just says no applause, no birds.
Yeah.
Yes, the two sides. They keep thinking they can like crack what's bugging the aliens and work it out. And of course, it culminates in Nicholson's "Why can't we all just get along?" speech.
Yeah.
I know that's a reference to something. What is it?
Why can't we all just get along?
Is it a famous political speech or is it a song lyric?
I don't want to get in trouble. Wasn't that Rodney King?
I know "Why can't we be friends?" is what I can. I think you're right. I think it is Rodney King. "Why can't we all just get along?" was a famous quote in.
Yeah, and he says it with the gravitas of like.
Yeah, it was Rodney King during or after the beating by the Los
It's like
Angeles
his official
Police Department.
stance on it.
Yeah, that's just what he yelled at while being attacked. And I think it's stuck in our three brains because it became such a pop cultural thing, separate from the horrible reality of it.
Yeah.
It just became like, oh, now they're saying it on In Living Color and SNL. Oh,
exactly.
Like,
I just know I've
hear
seen it quoted on other comedy things.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that Jack Nicholson speech. Just watching it again this morning, I'm just like, this is you must have gotten that speech from Blue Apron, buddy, because you're making a meal out of it. You are taking your time with that scene. Earth and Mars.
Yeah, but Mars is tiny. Yeah,
Little people.
and Mars.
Yeah.
He kills that speech, and I actually think Nicholson as president he nailed. It's like he puts in so much effort, and he does a great job as Art Land. But he's in that caliber of like, I don't know, like a Buscemi, where it's like he's so recognizable. I still think, why'd you do this? Well, they're both Jack Nicholson. Like, he can't not be Jack Nicholson.
It actually makes me a little bit remorseful for his career. Like, I know it's a bummer that he's almost retired at this point, but rewatching Mars Attacks, I'm just like, Jack Nicholson would have done cool, dumb shit. He's down, and he's very good at it. Give him Buscemi roles. Don't just like wait for The Departed. Give him. I know he's Jack Nicholson. He's a character actor. Give him fun character actor.
He could have had a great like Baldwin era where he like made fun of himself in shows. I would have liked that.
He wasn't the first choice for the president.
Right.
Paul Newman.
Yeah.
And they lowballed him.
Really?
Oh, on the money.
Yeah. So he said no, and
that's why it took so long
and then
to get
after
him in Hudsucker Proxy.
And there was like
Newman won't play without the payment.
And so once they finally, I think there was other people involved too, but once he finally landed on Jack Nicholson, Tim Burton thought it would be funny that Art Land was Michael Keaton.
Oh, that would have been
because they worked together with Batman.
Right.
Yeah.
Batman reunion.
Great.
Yeah.
Even though this is kind of, so I think what ended up happening is he was just like, well, none of my great ideas are coming to fruition. You know what, Jack? Just be Jack both times.
Look, we really wanted Paul Newman and Michael Keaton, but it's gonna be you, Jack.
Yeah,
just all you, baby.
A double dose of Jack. And an executive said, okay, I know you're killing a lot of people, just don't kill Jack Nicholson, he's so beloved. And he was like, I'm killing both Jack Nicholsons then in that case.
I want to shout out to a name that we haven't even talked about yet, which I'm surprised. Martin Short is so good in this.
He's very good.
As Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
As essentially Salacious Crumb.
Yeah.
He's just this skeevy, he goes into the Kennedy room.
That's actually my favorite sequence as a standalone sequence. The Martian spy who chews the nitrogen gum that allows them to breathe.
Yeah, that's a cool little...
Them looking at each other through the fish is just a really beautiful, just well lit scene to see, and also, especially knowing that she's very clearly an alien, and it's just like, think about it now in the lens of 2018 that like, yeah, men are pretty terrible. She's not saying a fucking word, and he's just like, do you want to follow me into the White House?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're sitting now. That means you want to. I'm gonna put my hand in your mouth.
Spoiler alert: Martin Short is the press secretary, and he's got a thing for whores. And he picks up a Martian spy, assuming things he shouldn't assume because she never says a single word. And she bites off his finger, and then bludgeons him to death, I believe.
The woman who played the role, his name is Lisa Marie,
Lisa Marie Smith.
Who's
her movement work is incredible in that sequence.
Two things: one, she was dating Tim Burton, which I thought was interesting because she was like a scream queen at this time. Which is kind of like, of course, they would be interested in each other. The other thing is that she got like injuries from that costume.
Oh,
like she got scars.
What
and stuff.
aspect of it?
You notice how there's no buttons or zippers or anything.
Right. I read she had to be
literally
sewn
had to
into
be
it.
sewn into it,
and it was so tight it injured her ligaments or what?
Not the dress, the hair, because there's two wigs. There was a wig to make it big, and then the wig on top of it
to make it look
hair.
nice. Yeah,
and it was very heavy, and it would stab her in the top of the head and stuff like that.
Hurt her neck
and there's an
shit.
interview with her, and she talks about it, and it's kind of crazy because she was just like, yeah, it was absolute torture, it was absolute hell. But once I saw it, I was like, well, that's worth it.
Yeah.
And at least I
get to go home every night and have weird sex with Tim Burton.
I do. Penis. I mean, but as far as real material, you can't top it. She's amazing, and it made me think of like
gait she has when they turn her when everyone's looking away.
You're imitating, yes.
It's like, oh my god, it's creepy.
Just
it's
like
so
Grace
creepy.
Muckles in Achewood.
Yeah.
When the eyes are not on her, she always walks weirdly elegantly, which itself is like hypnotic. It's mesmerizing. But then when everyone turns, she keeps walking perfectly smoothly, but she hunches forward, all creepy.
Just walks like one of the Martians because she's a Martian.
It's so funny.
It's so funny, and again, just as much as I say, like, oh, it's terrible that Martin Short put his finger in her mouth
like,
because she sat down on a bed.
Let's just get that gum out of your mouth, honey.
But I'm also like rewatching that scene, just like. She is incredibly captivating.
Yeah.
Like, I would be fooled with her not saying anything. I would let her into the White House. Right into the Kennedy room. She was like looking at me chewing gum hotly.
Because she's this woman with giant eyes and a beehive haircut. She is attractive as hell.
The other thing, and I had to search for this because I was like, I actually, as soon as I was like, because it's been a while since I've seen it, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this character.
She's so off-putting. It's amazing.
And I had to search for it, and it's true. Does not blink once in the entirety of the film.
Oh, anytime. Right. Yeah.
Never once
in her
is there
shots.
a blink.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Lisa Marie Smith.
Well
you did such a
done.
great job, and then I'm not sure you ever worked again, and that's a crime.
I think she did.
She must have.
I was
Okay.
dinking around her IMDb page.
Taking around her house, getting asked to leave.
But that was a few days ago. I can't
But it was a pretty
remember.
nice house, so she must have been working.
No, I think she's still working, doing stuff.
Martin Short also, this is just going back to everyone being so on the same page with what movie they were making. It seems hard to me to get Martin Short to not be Martin Short. Like he's somebody like you pay for the Martin Short thing. He's gonna do that. He's like one of the hilarious but really bizarre standouts in Arrested Development as like everyone is doing this show, and then Martin Short is doing a Martin Short character within Arrested Development, and it's fine because I love
Bullet.
it.
Yeah.
Dragon.
Throw me, Dragon.
Should you really be sitting on the edge of the balcony like this? Dragon's got me. Dragon's not there. What am I? God.
But in Mars Attacks,
Just
it was
something
like,
the body does when you shake it. When he throws up on himself.
But they reined him in for Mars Attacks. Tim Burton was just like, you're not a big, broad character. You're going to have a silly scene where you get to pretend to be sexy through a fishbowl, and you can chew that a little bit, but we want you to be believable as a competent press secretary for a while.
Right.
And he did that. It was like, man, everyone knew what fucking movie they were making when they made this movie.
And
Yeah,
how
everyone's
they were
very
playing
loyal
the
to the
role.
vision. Yeah. And it's such a weird vision that it's surprising they could all get on the same page. I just realized after Nicholson's Can We Get Along speech, the Martian leader cries a single tear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what are the implications of that? Does that mean they can't understand English without translation? And they understand that he's making like a beautiful speech, so that it's appropriate to cry a single tear before killing him, and that will be a sick fake out. Like,
Right.
are these Martians like?
I think
frat?
they do understand. I think it's our assumption that we have to translate it back to them because, like, remember when Pierce Brosnan opens up their brains, he goes, "Very curious." You know, like
Their brain
big
is full of
brains
gack.
typically imply like there's some kind of telepathy or sense, organ kind of thing.
Yeah.
Never followed up on, but they
never
say
talk about it. But it's a very well trodden like classic.
the logic
trope.
is sound. At one point, one of the scientists says, "Big brain, he must be smart."
That's not. That's.
Oh no, that's Natalie Portman.
yeah.
No, that's Richie.
That's Richie. That's right. Richie.
Richie?
I want to
Oh,
talk about
okay.
him in a second, but I want to talk about the telepathy thing first too, because I've decided now that they know English, they know everything, they're very bright, and like if you watch it with that lens, the first time they land on Earth and there's that doofy stock photo of a German scientist building their translation device out of fucking light bulbs in a silver box, and there's like looks exchanged between the Martians that make me think they're thinking like, holy shit, these guys are so much farther behind than we thought.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They're translating with that stupid fucking box. Look at their
Yeah.
guns. This is insane.
This is insane.
This is going to be so fun.
Yeah.
We're going to have such a good time.
Exactly.
But I love that repeatedly, multiple people make a point that really is scientific consensus for the most part, which is that if you look at the trends, entropy is the enemy of all sentient life of a higher order. Everything is trying to fight against the laws of nature and how hard the universe can be on life forms. So if you can get to the point where you can travel interstellarly, and people say this repeatedly in the film, they're like, it's almost a certainty. It just is logical. They will have a highly evolved civilization and society and be peaceful, because peace, we've seen this, rewards you more than war. And then they're just dicks for no reason.
They're just gremlins monsters.
Yeah, they're also not. Yeah, they are gremlins. They're not even interstellar. That's the crazy thing.
Oh, that's
they
right. Their
literally
solar
come
system.
from the canyons of Mars. Like they're as close as it gets to not being the moon.
So maybe the idea is they realized we were this close, and they're just on the cusp of flying saucer technology, and their first action as people who can fly is to kill us, because they're just like, well, what else should we do?
I think it's a whole lot of don't think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing that made it feel like not a Tim Burton movie to me is the Richie character, because I'm always looking for, well, who's Tim Burton in this? Who's his weirdo outcast? Because all of his movies are about weirdo outcasts and loners, and Richie mostly fits that bill. He's just
Because his parents are obviously very transparently disappointed him.
Joe
not
Don
proud
Baker.
of him. Yeah. Wait, who's
Joe
that? The
Don
dad?
Baker is the dad
dad,
who is
yeah.
in this and the movie Mitchell, which is
Okay.
probably the best Mystery Science Theater.
And he literally
there
says
ever
shit
was.
like, "You're a son that I don't care for that much." No, he says, Jack Black, Glenn, whatever his name is, Glenn Lee was a hell of a boy. Guess
Billy
we can't
Glenn.
get lucky twice.
Yeah.
Staring at Richie.
The wrong son died.
Yeah, the wrong son died.
But
shit
they
that.
swapped out Burton's normal gothic outsider for just like a donut shop operator out. So just like a sweet boy in a movie.
He's Cody
surrounded.
Johnston, age 16, living in fucking
Pahrump.
Ohio in my
Yeah.
in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just defined by his sweetness and his love of his grandma. That's sort of his thing. I'm surprised that we didn't spend more time with him. I feel like if we did, or the Natalie Portman character, then that would be like, oh, this is a Tim Burton movie. But he didn't do that, maybe because he wanted so many protagonists that there just
Yeah.
wasn't enough time to develop.
A
But
love
Richie
story?
is just like,
Yeah.
I love my grandma and I'm sweet to her, and that's all you are going to get about me, and it's enough. And then at the end, I'm going to do the speech where I say we should maybe consider living in teepees because they're better
That
for
was also really
a lot of
funny.
reasons that I won't go into.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
When he gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. Yeah, I wrote it down so in case people are not watching. Richie and his grandma get the Congressional Medal of Honor after I can't believe we haven't mentioned this, save the world by realizing that a Slim Pickens music, or is it Slim Whitman?
Slim Whitman.
Slim Pickens is the TV cowboy.
Yeah.
Right.
Slim Pickens.
Slim Pickens.
Slim
is
Whitman
Dr.
yodel
Strangelove.
country music makes their brains explode. Not explained.
We didn't talk about it because it's the worst part of the movie, and I know that you like.
It's kind of a War of
you
the
needed
Worlds
to give the aliens a
homage.
cold,
I don't know.
obviously,
Yeah,
but-
exactly. But he gets the Medal of Honor from Natalie Portman, who I agree, it feels weird that we don't have more time with Natalie Portman, but I think it's because she's Natalie Portman, who she wasn't at the time. So like if she was just the president's deadpan daughter, I might not have missed her so much.
Well, she's the audience.
Was this?
And
She's
he
the
says-
audience. Yeah. Was this after The Professional?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, because she's way
Yeah.
young in that. He says, "Thank you for the Congressional Medal of Honor. I couldn't have done it without my grandma. I'm just so happy. And also, I was thinking maybe instead of houses, we could live in teepees because it's better in a lot of ways." That's all I have to say.
A lot of ways.
It's a great line. Yeah.
No, it's great. It's also what you definitely should say when you receive the Congressional Medal of Honor.
But I swear, the moment where the grandma in a state of delirium says Richie was always the best one, did touch me. It's true that there's like these weird moments. The film's not perfect. There are things that are like, they touched me, and then there's no follow up. Like Art Land's wife, it's Annette Bening, who is like this rich crystals lady who believes the aliens will lead us to a higher level of being, which, spoiler alert, is what the thing at the end of 2001 means. And in case there's frustrated 10-year-olds listening to this. And then she just survives. But like I thought her theme would be developed in a way where there was a comment on the theme.
I like her because she goes from, she's like a character who changes. And I like when that happens. She goes from, the aliens are going to lead us to glory. And then she sees them and is one of the only people on the planet who is like, oh, the aliens are bad now. Like the rest of the staff of the government, except for Rod Steiger, are like, maybe it's a translation error. Maybe we got a different issue. We got to keep going. And she's like, nope, we got to get the fuck out of here. We're going to go to Tahoe. There's caves in Tahoe. Nobody knows about Tahoe. We're going to Tahoe.
She also says humans probably deserve to die.
Yeah.
Which is a heavy statement for this stupid Mars movie.
Right. And I love how Artland of that looks at, because she just takes a bottle of Southern Comfort. He's like, put every bottle of alcohol known to man in these limousines.
Oh, I love how when they're giving out the Congressional Medal of Honor because everything's ruined, a mariachi band is playing the national anthem.
That's the only act we could get.
Exactly. They're the only people
Everyone else
available.
is dead. Yeah.
Also, I guess,
They wiped out Congress and Coachella.
is this how this works? Like, if, God forbid, it would just shatter me. If Donald Trump were assassinated and his wife died when the bullet glanced off his skull, would his daughter become the acting president?
I tried to think about that.
Well, all of
and it's-
Congress died.
Right. Well, all
And
Congress
all of
died.
Congress
and
died.
so the order of succession that I like, this is like the amount of numbers in pi that I can reach. And then I don't know it. It's president, it's vice president, it's speaker of the House.
and I'm done.
Yeah. They're,
You know more.
I'm sure. Nope, that's it.
Oh,
I'm sure
okay. That's as far as I know.
There's more contingencies. I can't imagine that it runs through children. I don't think that's a formal thing.
Because that's our whole thing that we don't believe in is that.
Right.
It's got to be the dedesignated survivor, but
Right.
you can assume that person died.
Jack
as well.
Bauer would have taken the
Jack
aliens
Bauer
out, no
would have taken
problem. Yeah. Oy.
That's another sign of the 90s and sign of male writers that Richie is a nice boy who has no character but saved the day, and so he gets the sex prize of Natalie Portman. He gets the reward at the end with
forgot
her
that.
saying, "Do you have a girlfriend?" He's like, "No, I'm weird and I work in a donut shop."
So, and she's like, I want to fuck you anyway. I'm the president's daughter. Congratulations. America's proud of you.
We don't have a lot of protocol for what's about to go down.
I don't know if I have anything else.
I'm trying. To think. It's-
There's a
I
factoid
did have something, but
that
I got
disturbs me.
distracted.
One of the sets of prototype Martian eyes was later recycled by Jeff Dunham and are now the eyes of Ahmed the dead terrorist.
I don't care for that factoid at all.
Okay, yeah.
I would rather have not known that.
You can tell if you look at
I know,
Ahmed
now
the
I
dead
can.
terrorist. Yeah.
This is just like a superficial blindness that I have, or blind spot that I have that tickles me. That the screenwriter Jonathan Gems is a British playwright, and the things that tickle me in this superficial way is that like British, you're supposed to be fancy. Playwright, you're supposed to be fancy.
Yeah.
You can't make Mars Attack.
And
And he
this
wrote
is
like
dumb.
this and did some punch-up work on Batman and wrote Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii. Which,
That exists?
yeah.
Is that animated?
It's not out. It's unproducible. Like no one will make it.
Oh, it's like a spec script that did not take off.
I have just such an idea of British playwright in my head.
Oh my
that was
God.
Like, and for my next work.
Yeah.
Mars.
Yeah.
That's the worst British accent I've ever
the
heard.
worst.
Hey, give me some of that poi, honey. A Beetlejuice, man. Aloha, hoy. Like, what a fucking weird Beetlejuice goes to Hawaii. That's amazing. Who's that? The Harlem Globetrotters? Nice to meet you.
I'm into surfing now.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to shout out the part of the ensemble we didn't mention, Cedric and Neville, who I just like the turning it on its head of. They help save the day because they play so many violent video games. They blow off school to play violent video games, and the movie says it's good they did that.
Yeah. I really like the line, "What are you guys doing? Get that president out of here." Not the president, get that president out of here.
Because I watched the subtitles and said, does
What
it
are you
say
guys
that
yapping about?
president?
Also, he says, what are you guys yapping about? Get that president out of here.
That president is such a perfect.
That was a fun, like, unexplored but still very loaded side plot. Everything surrounding Byron and Pam Greer's character, whatever her name was, and those kids. You know that he's a former heavyweight champion, and now he's working in Vegas, and Art is like, I need you to punch some guys, and I'll give you $2,000 to send him a message. Like, I don't do that anymore. I'm trying to get back to his wife, get back with my wife. I like their relationship a whole lot. They're clearly separated, but they're still like...
It's the richest arc. I
Yeah.
actually wanted to see a whole movie. Like, I could watch their story as a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Jim Brown punching his way from Nevada to Washington.
Right. Because how did he survive? Like, the last we saw him, he was sprawled out,
Yeah.
unconscious, surrounded by 30 aliens with guns. And they're all dicks.
Yeah.
So, like, how did he survive?
The last shot of his arc actually has something that I had to go back and watch a few times because I was like unsure if I saw it. Like, it was like this Michael Haneke kind of like cachet shot.
Because it's a big wide
It's
shot
about-
of his
of-
apartment complex. The front wall has fallen down, so you can
and he
see all
steps
the
on
rooms.
brains.
Yeah.
And then he like walks towards them. But
Towards
then
his
it's
family.
Towards his family. And then it's a shot on his back. I don't know why Tim Burton did this, but if you look to the bottom left and when you rewatch the film, there's just it looks like a 40 or 50-year-old man who's just sitting on the curb and just crying.
Jesus.
I know. It's like, why? What? This is like A, this is a happy moment. B, that's not this film.
But, like, obviously his whole family was killed by Martians or something.
Yeah, just like
just
Tim Burton just like
sitting
pulling,
there weeping.
just pulling shit from the air, just going like, throw that in there. And there's a Chihuahua. By the way, his dog. Both of
Burton's-
the dogs in
Really? Because that's a hateful dog.
I don't
Lisa
believe that
Marie
Tim Burton
Smith's dog
should have a chihuahua.
and
Yeah.
the dog, the first dog
yeah.
Yeah.
that's killed by Lisa Marie.
Oh, the
Smith.
one who barks
Yeah.
at the TV because it knows the Martians are evil?
Yes.
Foreshadowing.
That's
yeah.
Tim Burton's dog.
There's no
Well, I could buy that.
Don't know
buy
why
that,
I know
yeah.
that.
There's no clearer expression of we're throwing out the rules with this movie than killing dogs. Killing multiple dogs is very
Yeah,
much
that's
like,
how I took it, too.
Okay, then no one, like Jack Nicholson can die too. No one is safe.
Especially because there's like the first scene where they kill a dog, Martian pulls a gun, there's two human targets in the dog, and it kills the dog first. And you're like, okay, anything can die at any time.
All right, where's Danny DeVito?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know he's lingering
That's
somewhere.
the other. You're like, why were you in this? I love that you're in this movie, but
Influence
you
is
did
no
nothing
art.
and affected no one.
Not unusual. Hey, can I get an autograph? Whoa, Martians!
I remember when they got like the
Zap.
team assembled, and I was
What's in it
I was
for
like,
me?
oh wait, why is he here? And then I thought like, because then they started mentioning, can you fly a plane? And I was like, that's why Danny DeVito's here. Is he's
Nope.
the only? Nope, it's Tom Jones.
and
Who didn't need a further reason to be in the movie because he just has cameo power.
yeah.
But they're like, he's also the pilot.
Danny DeVito decides to abandon Tom Jones, his pilot, and
To go back to the
world
hotel?
heavyweight champion, and Annette Bening, who seems to like him. She's
Yeah.
like, you guys are going the wrong way. I'm going back to the hotel.
By the way,
A quick side note that like, I'm a lawyer. Oh, he was a lawyer. It's
He's
not.
a lawyer.
He's not being Danny DeVito. Now I know.
yeah.
I
'Cause some
make
people are just
extensive
that-
notes when
who
I'm
they are.
watching of things that like I'm like maybe that'll be important. And I love this movie because I first typed like, damn, this moves so fast I can barely take notes. And then I also typed at one point like, Danny DeVito's a lawyer, probably important. And then like seconds later, like Danny DeVito
He was
dead.
dead.
Doesn't
Not
matter that he's a
important.
lawyer.
Also, one of the only people that who has of the Star Power crew in this movie who didn't get a name. He's credited as Rude Gambler.
Oh yeah, nice.
Not
I
even
like that.
impulsive lawyer.
Yeah, not even lawyer. She's like, am I the only one shooting craps here?
All right, well, we're rounding out an hour.
Sounds good.
Okay to call it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Safe
Is
to
there-
say we all fucking love Mars Attacks. I
Yeah,
think.
Mhm.
Would you put it? Where would you rank it in Tim Burton's whole filmography?
That's tough because I think over the last few years I've just stopped liking Tim Burton. So it's all trash.
Nah.
No, Nightmare Endures.
Nightmare Endures.
I haven't seen the original
Batman.
Batman actually.
You haven't seen the original
Oh, really?
Batman?
No, yeah,
Batman
I
is
gotta
very
watch
good.
it.
Both
Batman is quite
Batmans
good,
are
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Batman Returns.
Oh, I've
is
seen Batman Returns
bizarre.
many times, but for some reason, never the first one.
Never the first
Michelle
one?
Pfeiffer doesn't get enough credit for Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Oh, she's fantastic. Yeah, we could cover
But
that.
DeVito does.
He gets the
DeVito-
right amount of credit for Batman
You
Returns.
fucking
Exactly.
right.
The
Rules in
proper
that.
amount of.
I know comic fans were pissed because he's so different than the Penguin, but I'm like, I don't know, man. That's as a kid, he haunted my nightmares.
Yeah.
That was an effective role.
Yeah.
Until his weapon turns out to be literal penguins with bombs on them.
Little wind-up penguins.
I was like, that's not that scary.
I like Big Fish a lot.
I like Big Fish too. It's another one that feels a little bit weird for Tim Burton, I think, because it's more whimsical than dark and like pretty aggressively optimistic.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is not normally his
And Albert
style.
Finney's
but-
so great.
And Albert Finney is so great. Everyone's so
Is
great.
he also Big Eyes? Big Fish, Big Eyes?
I don't think so.
Oh, I
I
thought
thought he did Big.
thought
I
he
didn't
did
see
Big
Big
Eyes.
Eyes.
Oh,
I
maybe.
saw
I
it,
didn't
and
see
it
it.
was
I just
not
assumed it
transcendent,
wasn't.
but certainly solid, and a very interesting, true story that's worth learning about.
thought his Sweeney Todd was trash. He's
Sweeney
doing
Todd
the
sucked
Dumbo movie.
balls.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
he's. I mean, recently he's just kind of had senioritis,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
with Johnny Depp as well. They're just like,
Sure.
I don't know, let's dress you up again in a weird way.
I know what it was that really turned me off him, and I think we saw it together, Michael. It was Alice in Wonderland, where I was like, this guy is
God.
running on
Yep.
fucking fumes, and
Yeah.
I'm sick of all this garbage now.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland is like hot topic thrown up in your face for 2
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
It's just no good.
Yeah, I mean,
But I want to shout out the very first thing he and Henry Selick ever made together, which is like a 15-minute short that's super fucking good and weird, called
Frankenweenie?
No, that was just Tim Burton alone.
Grand
Although Tim Burton alone with Vincent Price doing the voice, that's
Yeah.
a great short people can look up on YouTube. But a short I highly recommend people look up on YouTube is Slow Bob in the Lower Dimensions. Have you seen that?
No, I
No.
haven't.
It's Tim Burton and Henry Selick's thing they did in college just as buddies, and it's really cool.
Okay.
Mainly I think I'm a bigger fan of Henry Selick, actually.
That sounds like-
yeah.
He worked on Life Aquatic as well.
He did, yeah, he did all the undersea monsters.
Yeah.
Didn't realize until just this second, Tim Burton, producer, Cabin Boy.
Cabin Boy.
Okay.
I'll need some time to process that.
I mean, he just threw money at it, I assume. So I'd say probably 3 or 4. That's probably where I put it in the
yeah.
filmography.
Top 5 of Burton.
I give it
everything.
9 frames out of a possible
Oh, we do that
unknown
now?
number.
Is that something we do on this podcast?
Nope.
Okay,
So
good.
long.
I was nervous. I was like, I didn't get to the end of the Magnolia episode.
Yeah.
What is the scale?
Oh wait,
I
plug
guess
Daniel.
24 for
Plug Daniel, plug.
Oh,
Say your Twitter handle at the very least.
Twitter at DOB_INC. That's DOB,
Yeah.
like my initials, and incorporated, like what companies do. Donate to Children of the Night. It's a great charity.
Good for you.
Nice.
Also, just because there's
Or the Patreon Small Beans. I'm
no.
I'm here to keep the lights on for you guys too. I'm
That
sorry.
is not what I was going for. I was saying, because this whole crack thing happened and there's diffuse clouds of people who still somehow don't know where everyone is.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that you're guesting frequently on Daily Zeitgeist. What other podcasts have you been on for
I'm
people
going to be
who miss
on
your voice?
the Bechtel cast in May talking about
Awesome.
Moulin Rouge, and we had so much fun doing it. I can't wait for that episode to come out.
Cool.
And I just do like most podcasts. So
He'll be
just-
on your podcast if you can ask
Yeah.
him.
Start a
Find him.
podcast, he'll knock on your door
Yeah.
immediately. Like the It Follows monster
All
of
right.
podcasting.
We'll be back. Jack. This has been a Small Beans endeavor. We're a bunch of pals who make podcasts, sketches, music, web series, and movies. The beans always have new ideas percolating, so make sure to check us out at patreon.com/smallbeans. That's patreon.com/smallbeans, where you can browse all of our current and past content, see what we've got planned in the future, and learn how your support can help the small beans grow into huge, giant monster beans. If you enjoyed this content module, please like, rate, subscribe, or tell a friend about us. We love you!